Hello, JET Educational Service members. Now, all my life, I've grown up in Colorado Springs, and I've gone to predominantly white public schools in Colorado Springs. Up until about the eighth grade, my parents relocated us to Dayton, Ohio, which most of you may know is a predominantly black area. Okay. Now, the first day that I enrolled in school there, the one thing that I immediately noticed was the material that we were covering in class. For example, I'll start off by talking about my science class. I'll never forget my science teacher, Mr. Lastly. Right, he was quite a character. But what's more important is in that class, we were covering at that time we were covering the skeletal system. And that's all fine and dandy because I mean, in any school, in the junior high school, you're going to cover, the skeletal system. But what's more alarming about that is that it took him a whole semester to go over the skeletal system, right? Now, that is one of the problems, and that's one of the discrepancies between the education in a predominantly white and a predominantly black school, right? First off, it is the material that's covered and the fact that said material might be a number of years behind what's being covered in a predominantly white school, right? Now, all semester, all we ever learned was about the skeletal system, right? But I can guarantee you, in a predominantly white school, you're only going to spend about a week covering any particular part or any particular section of any subject, right? If you're talking about an area of concentration or specialization within the class that you're taking. So, for example, since it took a semester to talk about the skeletal system there, I can recall in any school or any institution of education that I've gone to in Colorado, like for example, in biology, I remember I took biology. We moved back after 2 or 3 years being in Dayton, Ohio. We moved back to Colorado Springs, and I remember biology class. We would only spend about maybe 3 days to a week on any particular section of any subject. So plant life, for example, plant life in biology, we only specifically talked about plant life for a week tops. Now compare that to what was happening in my 7th or 8th grade class back in Dayton, Ohio, where we spent a whole semester talking about the skeletal system, right? Which is just, it's ridiculous. So I just want to take this time out to just talk to you about this and just to let you know that this actually exists. And those people who are already in the system back in these kind of systems in the education system, like in Dayton, Ohio, see, they really don't have any point of reference like I did because most of them have spent all their lives in that city and have gone to those schools, so they don't know that what they're learning is a number of years behind what students in a predominantly white school are learning, right? And they don't even have any point of reference as to the quality of instruction that they're getting, right? Now, I can tell you, Mr. Lasley, bless his heart, I don't want to say anything bad about him, but I mean, he wasn't the greatest teacher. And most of the time, he would just scream at us the scientific names of bones, right? And part of the reason that he would have to scream is because not a lot of students in the class were actually engaged in the lesson, which highlights another problem, right? Because of the discrepancy of quality in the education system between predominantly white and predominantly black schools, and the quality of instruction, if you don't have very professional teachers who actually are trained very well and know how to engage the students at any given time in a lesson, right? Then you're not going to have a good transfer of knowledge and education to those students. They're not going to learn as well from a very highly skilled, experienced teacher, rather than a guy who's just, like Mr. Lasser, just yelling names of bones at you and just not really giving you any incentive to learn that. I guess from now that I look at it, I could tell that at that time he was probably, at the time where I was in class, I didn't know this because I was just a kid. And I was just excited that, wow, hey, we were going over the skeletal system for so long, I already know all this, so I don't really have to even try. But now looking back in retrospect, I can see that his approach to the material and his attitude towards teaching was mostly like that of anybody working a mundane 9 to 5 job where they're saying, okay, I'm going to go into work, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to count the hours until the day is over and go home, sit on the couch and watch the game or something like that. That I can tell that from the way that he taught, it was kind of, that was the mindset that he was in. And that's just, these things aren't, and I'm not blaming any particular individual for this, right? When you're within the system like that, I'm sure there are a lot of stresses that he had to deal with, right? But the biggest problem is this is a systematic problem. This is an example of systematic racism and oppression, which has manifested itself in poor teaching and poor instruction in our educational system. So this is why our people as a whole are so far behind, because of issues like this. So that's one of our goals here at J.A. Tompkins Educational Services, is to kind of battle this, right? To kind of counter this. So, my brother and I, who are college educated, right? We've grown up black, and we actually are kind of blessed because we've been in both worlds, right? We've been in the world, the white world, and we've been in the black world, and so we can kind of have a point of reference and see what kind of things went on and what happened, and how we can take what we've learned in our experience and spread that to other black youth, so that they don't have to feel trapped within a system that's built to oppress them, and a system that's built to place obstacles in front of them that they feel that are unsurpassable, right? So yeah, I just want to take the time out to talk to you guys about that. And if you like the video, just be sure to like the video and give me any comments in the comment section, and just get at me. Peace.